Here we go.
You're tuning in to Will Love Listen. Now listen.
Chad Daniels, thank you for joining me today. It's great to speak with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've heard a lot about you. I've watched some of your stuff, so I'm really pumped for this interview because I'm always interviewing like comedians. I mean, I'm interviewing everybody, but comedians,
Sure.
I've been interviewing a lot over the past year, and I just love comedy. I'm a big comedy buff, so these are always fun.
Nice. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm excited to chit chat with you.
Yeah, and something I was very impressed by is that you've amassed almost 1 billion streams of your 6 comedy albums. That's pretty impressive because not many comedians could say that.
Yeah, I put a special out an album out in 2017 called Footprints on the Moon, and for some reason the timing was just right with Pandora and Spotify and everything. It just all came together, and yeah, that number's pretty mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Almost 1 billion. And then I was also reading that, you're one of, obviously because of that, you're one of the most listened to comedians of all time. And you're also one of only 13 comedians featured on The Tonight Show. I didn't realize how like little they feature comedians. So that is
Yeah,
also,
well, that 13 when Conan O'Brien was the host. Yeah. Yeah, he only had 13 on there because I don't know if you remember, but Jay Leno,
yeah.
um, gave up his spot. And then when Conan took it, he wanted it back. And there was this big kind of NBC war between all the hosts.
Yeah.
And so Conan just started pumping comedians on there and his short-lived career on that show. And what was kind of cool though, because then everybody who got to be on the Tonight Show with him then also got to be on his TBS show, which was awesome.
That is cool. Yeah, that is
Yep.
cool. So that's pretty cool because that kind of, I feel like both of those things, like between the comedy albums and then your appearances, they kind of catapulted you. And now you're like touring with Kelsey Cook. You guys have the podcast, all of that.
Yeah, it's been nice. I've never moved out of Minnesota. So to have all of the streaming and the TV options and everything like that to get the word out is great because I'm not just, hanging out at the clubs in New York and LA all the time. And so having those other options has really helped people that want to kind of stay off the coast and stay where they grew up.
Yeah. Which is funny you mentioned that because I was reading that, like, you grew up in rural Minnesota, you're still living there. And I was curious because I wanted to know how was your upbringing in your early life?
Well, I think when I say normal, I don't really know who knows what normal is anymore. But my mom and dad were married when I was young. They got a divorce maybe when I was 13. And hung out with my grandparents on my mom's side a lot, very close with her side of the family. And then around 13 is where it started getting a little weird. My dad stole my identity and
Yeah.
ruined my credit, and then ended up having me help him steal a car when I was 20 years old. I didn't realize I was helping him until we were at the car lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of a fun thing. Everybody goes, "Oh my God, that's so sad," and I'm like, I know it's a pretty fun story to be able to tell. So I don't
I
know.
want to know more about it. So he steals your identity at 13, which
Yep.
obviously I guess you didn't find out because you helped him rob a car years later.
Yeah. So he stole my identity, and I didn't find out that he had ruined my credit until I went to college and tried to get, some like a phone and stuff like that under my own name.
Yeah.
And they all looked at me like I was crazy. They're like, "Your credit is, 200 or something." So I was like, "Well, I got to better figure this out." And then I had to have my mom write a letter to all of the companies telling her that this was my dad and I had lived with her the whole time and I'm not actually the person that did it. And it took a while to get straightened out. Um, but then before that, I found that out maybe when I was maybe 21. And then when I was 20, I had just purchased a new car and something was wrong with it. So they had to bring it in and they gave me a rental car. And when I had the rental car, my dad made a copy of the keys without me knowing about it. And
Okay.
then when I brought back the rental car, he called me and he was like, "Hey, I need a ride somewhere." And I was like, "Okay." So I went to get him and he wouldn't tell me where we were going. And he finally, like, take a left here, take a right here. And we're in this parking lot. And I was like, "What the hell are we doing here?" And he goes, all right, find the car that you rented. And I go, I think that's it right there. And he took the keys out and I go, what is happening? And then he explained what he had done to me and then took off because he had gone to prison for a little bit for writing bad checks. And so he was like, I'm not going back to prison. I would rather run for the rest of my life. So I guess that's what he did. But yeah, he stole the car and drove to Las Vegas because then the Vegas cops called me and they go, hey, we found this car with some information about you in it. And I go, oh yeah, that's probably just my dad. He's probably still using my identity. Good luck finding him.
That is crazy. So
Yeah.
that is really nuts. So I guess the good thing is you were in the dark the whole time about like his what he was doing on the side.
Right. Yeah. I think if we got arrested, I think I would have been able to play like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. This is my dad asked me for a ride.
Yeah.
So, and you can bet your sweet ass that's exactly what I would have done. There is no way I would have told them I was helping in any sort of way at all.
That is funny. So now where are you out with your dad? Like,
I haven't seen him for a long, long, long time. Last time I saw him, my son is 25 years old, and the last time I saw my dad, my son was 2.
okay, wow.
So, so my sister and I have just agreed to tell everybody he died because it's way easier that way,
Yeah.
right? That way, because
That's
when we
true.
see
Yeah.
relatives, they're like, "Hey, where's your dad?" And instead of explaining like, "Well, the last time we saw him, he was in Las Vegas, and then he ended up get," we had his sister called us because he got in a car. Instead of all that stuff, we just go, "Oh, he's dead," and then no one asks any more questions. It's pretty good move.
That is smart because whenever you hear that, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and then they just want to change
Yep.
the subject. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. That's the end of the conversation.
Wow, that's so interesting though. I mean, hey, it makes for a good conversation.
Yeah, I think so too, and I will tell you, anytime I tell this story, not anytime, but most times I tell this story, people go, "Oh man, that's so sad and whatever." I mean, but he was like a good dude before he started getting into all that, like, writing other people's checks and shit like that. He was like nice guy, taught me a bunch of stuff as a dad, and I don't know. I've had a pretty good life. It just sounds crazy because of that stuff.
I was actually going to ask you about that next. Like, what was your relationship like with him prior to all of when all this kicked off?
I
Um,
think just like, just a I guess only because I know it as he was my dad. I mean, it just feels like a fatherly relationship, right? Taught me how to play catch, would, bring me out in the backyard, play catch, teach me how to mow the lawn, like all of this shit, teach me because of my mom and my sister how to treat women. And which knowing kind of at the end how he treated my mom, it's like, how about I do the opposite of what you were doing? I think that's what I'll do. But mostly, just like kind of try to teach me lessons and stuff. I mean, I know it's wild that he stole a car and stole my identity and all that stuff, but he also was the guy that anytime he saw somebody stuck in a snowbank or something like that with their car, he would always, no matter what, no matter where we were headed, he would stop and get out and try to help them push out and have me help and stuff like that. So I think he just kind of taught me how to be, let's say this, from 0 to 13, he taught me how to be a good human being. And then from 13 on, he taught me what not to do.
that's good that you had a good relationship with him, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Not bad.
It reminds me of like one of those unsolved mystery episodes where on someone who was like a great person to their family and friends, and no one would have suspected that they did all this crazy shit. So it's
Oh,
pretty.
I know. I will tell you that if I would have found out later that he had a whole other family and like 3 other kids, it would not have surprised me even a little bit.
But that didn't happen, though.
Nope. Nope. As far as we know, but I haven't done 23 and Me. Who knows? I might be sitting on a bunch of half siblings. I have no idea.
Yeah, true. But that's pretty makes interesting life. And how's your relationship with your mother? I guess that's always been cool.
Yeah, fantastic. It's like if everybody gets 100 points worth of parents,
Yeah.
right? I think that my mom is probably 90 points
Oh, that's
and my
nice.
dad was 10 points. So it equals out to 100. It's just one of them was, so when they got divorced, she had full custody of my sister and I, and did everything she could. I remember one Christmas, she worked her day job, which was 8 to 5. Then at 5:30, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, she would go work at the grocery store as a cashier for a couple hours, or she would wait tables Tuesday or Thursday, you know, just so we had what we wanted and stuff like that. So I really commend my mom. She was maybe even like too good. Because sometimes, you look back and you go, shit, I wish you wouldn't have worked so much. I wish you wouldn't have thought that you had to do all that stuff for us. But I mean, I don't know. We got good Christmas gifts. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So then how did you end up getting into comedy originally?
Well, I'd always wanted to do it. I saw my grandpa one time listening to a Bob Newhart record, and he was laughing so hard that his shoulders were shaking. And I thought, that's incredible that this guy's just on this album and he's talking and he's eliciting this kind of response from my grandpa. So I'd always been interested in it, and I would stay up late and watch comedy on The Tonight Show or A&E's Evening at the Improv. Any kind of show that they would have comedy, I would look for it. And then in high school, I was kind of like I would MC homecoming and the snowball coronation and stuff like that. And then my buddies brought me to an open mic when I was 23 and just signed me up. They were probably sick of listening to me talk about comedy, but they signed me up and they called my name, scared the hell out of me, and I went on stage and did not do well. But man, it was so invigorating that I was like, I got to try this again.
Oh, and then from there on, you just worked at your craft, and then did you just get
Yeah. Yeah, I
more?
just kept going. I just kept going back. So after the first time, I thought, if I wrote some jokes, I will be much better at this. And then I went back the second time with some jokes and I ate shit just as hard as the first time. So that was interesting. And then I thought, I'm going to take 6 months off. I'm going to keep going to open mic, but I'm just going to watch and I'm just going to listen to the other comedians. And I did that for 6 months and then I felt more comfortable. I kind of befriended a couple of the groups and then I came back and tried it again. And from then on, it was a lot better.
That's interesting, and you stuck with it from there, I presume, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had to, do some bartending and odd jobs along the way to get going, but yeah, it was what I was shooting for.
And you ended up posting your podcast in the middle of somewhere, and recently you launched your second podcast, Pretend Problems, with your girlfriend and co-host, Kelsey Cook. So
Yeah, that's right.
you've dedicated it to the podcast game. So how has that been?
It's been great. The co-host on Middle of Somewhere is one of my best friends. I've known him forever, and so he lives in Cincinnati, and he flies back to Minnesota once a month, and we record our episodes. And then I live with Kelsey. And so I'm actually in the podcast studio right now. And so we record every week. We answer questions from listeners about relationships and stuff like that. And it's been really fun. And it's also brought up a bunch of interesting conversations between the two of us in our actual relationship, which I think has just made that better too. But yeah, she just put out a special called Mark Your Territory. It's on Hulu and YouTube. And that thing is just killing right now. So I'm interested to see what that does when we come to your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And it'll be the first time we've toured together. So I will be very interested to see what her special numbers do. I put mine out in the summer on Netflix called Empty Nester, and that's been gaining momentum. And so we have kind of a cool plan when we come out. We're going to come out and we're going to each do a half hour of stand up. And then afterwards, we're both going to come back on stage. And if she has a joke about me, I am going to get a chance to tell my side of the story.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then vice versa. I have jokes about her and she'll be able to tell her side. And I think that'll be a really interesting look into the psychology of one person writing a joke versus the other.
That is very interesting. And it's unique too, because you have two comedians who are also dating, who have their
Hmm.
own podcasts, and now you're touring together. So there's so many different like elements, and it's an interesting
Hmm.
dynamic for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. We're calling it Notebook Rebuttal, that section of it. So,
And that's the
um,
final section, right?
yeah, yeah. And it's it'll be interesting because we'll be able to pull the curtain back a little bit
Yeah.
and say, both of us, it's gonna be, well, it's pretty one-sided. Here's what actually happened. And I'm really looking forward to it.
It kind of gives a behind the scenes look into your relationship in a way.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Because like it's rare and I think it's pretty cool actually for couples to be that involved. Because you're involved obviously personally, but there's a big professional involvement in it as well. Do you feel that helps you guys in that it brings you guys closer and it forces you to communicate?
Yeah, I think so. I think that sorry, I'm covering my dog's eyes because the mailman's walking by and I don't want him to freak out. Um, yeah, I think it brings us closer because we have to talk about what's going on in work stuff as well. I think a lot of times people get home in a relationship and they go, "I'm going to leave work at work.
Yeah, I feel a
I
lot
don't
of
want I don't want to bore you. I don't want to be a drag, whatever." But we kind of get all the work stuff together, and so that's good. And then we have to, yeah, we just kind of have to forge a partnership in every aspect of it, which so far has been great. And we've been dating for over 2 years. So
and it's like it's different than what most people would think because I feel like there's this preconceived notion out there just because of different, different using different couples that if you work together when you're already involved, it could create some, it could have the reverse effect. But with you guys, it seems to really work. And I don't know if that's because you're both comedians or if because of the podcast factor, but it really does force you to face everything head on. It's impossible to sweep anything under the rug, it seems.
right. Yeah, it's been good because we know the ins and outs. I mean, when we talked about both being comedians that we're going to date, it was awesome because like we'll be playing tennis or go out and shoot baskets, and there's nobody else out because everybody's at work at their day job, and we're like, this is pretty great that we both have the day off.
Yeah.
Um, and then we know what comedy involves. So, I've had partners in the past where after a show, you're selling merch and then um, maybe somebody you've known in the past or you're working with a friend, you talk in the green room for a while and then it's time to get paid. So you have to go into the office and then that's a conversation. And instead of texting like, "Hey, what's going on? Where are you? What are you up to? I'm worried about you." It's just like we kind of know what's happening, and so we're like, "Hey, text me when all of it's finished, or you're back at the room, or whatever."
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
it's made it a lot easier because sometimes there can be a panic button, when you don't get a text for 2 hours after a show, and people start freaking out, and it's like, well, I don't freak out. I just know she's doing stuff. So.
Yeah, because you have unique careers and you're able
Mhm.
to understand each other better because you're both doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to the show. So you're sorry, my voice is acting up today.
No
But you guys
problem.
have a ton of dates lined up in the New York, New Jersey area specifically. That's going to be pretty fun. I'm going to come out to the Montclair show, of course.
Oh,
So
heck yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Are you guys keeping with the same setup for all the dates?
Yes, yes. Because we want to see if this can actually become uh, a touring idea. If we figure something out and tweak it the right way, I think we would be able to tour it in different areas of the country. So we're going to stick with it for the 3 date run out there and just see what we can make of it. But I think it's going to be neat because you never hear somebody call bullshit on a joke,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
true.
so
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really fun because obviously when we write jokes, we write them hyperbolically with, a lot of extra sarcasm and a lot of extra stuff involved. And so it's going to be fun to have the other person say like, "This is actually what happened, you dick." I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
It's like you're making a joke in front of who the pun is on, and they get to like rebuttal.
Right. Yeah.
I like that concept. And it's also cool because like, I go to comedy shows all the time. You'll have an opener and then you'll have like the main act and they'll know each other. Like
Hmm.
I've met so many comedians where like they're friends in real life. So you think they're gonna do something together and you're looking forward to that and it never happens. So
Sure.
like and then you're kind of let down. You're like, oh, but I see you guys on social media. I know you guys are friends. You guys
Yep.
have this together. Why don't you guys collab on something? So this time, both acts are actually collabing, which I think is awesome.
Yep. Yep. We tried it one time here in Minneapolis at the 10,000 Laughs Comedy Festival, and we didn't even do the jokes first. We just went up and kind of recited the jokes, and then the other person had a chance. And we were up there for 75 minutes. I mean, it was so much fun. And the crowd was into it, because sometimes you don't know if you're going to do something that has a concept. If people think they're coming to see straight stand up and then they see something else, how they're going to react to it. But I
Yeah.
do think that because you're going to hear the jokes, I mean, it's almost like a magician revealing how he does a trick a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a like roast element involved.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah,
that's always fun. That's
for
always fun.
sure. Yeah.
And I love those roasts, which by the way, I always want to like get feedback from different comedians. Who are some of your favorite comedians other than you?
Um, I would say, well, I mean, Kelsey, of course, and I love, speaking of roasts, Greg Giraldo. He's passed away, but he might have been one of the funniest people on planet Earth just because he was so smart. He's a lawyer before he started doing stand up, and he had a very quick mind. I love Jon Stewart from
Yeah.
The Daily Show. I think he's great. Bill Burr is a favorite because he really lets everybody know how he's feeling. I love Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Um, there are just so many that I could probably go on and on and on. It would just be me naming names. But um, the one thing I like to say is even if you're going to go to a comedy show, if you don't recognize the person, have faith that the club booked somebody funny and just go for it. You know what I mean? Get the ticket, spend the money, and go watch it.
Yeah, just wing it. I mean, I've done that
Yep.
many times. Like my friends will want to go see somebody I'm not that familiar, but I'm like, okay, I'll go anyway because and then I end up liking the person. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
That's normally how it goes.
Yeah. And that's usually when you end up being introduced to someone you end up becoming like a huge fan of is when you
Hmm.
don't know them before.
Yep. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Hurt Locker with Jeremy Renner. I don't know if you remember that, but he's on a bomb squad in the Middle East. I had no clue what that movie was about. My buddy goes, we were walking by the theater and he goes, "Hey, we should go in here and watch this." And I go, "Okay." I mean, it could have been a cartoon for all I knew.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know what it was and it was done so well, I mean, it's in my top 10 for sure.
That's so funny. That's like the movie Fight Club. So
Yes.
uh, like an ex of mine loved the movie Fight Club. So I'm like, okay, let's just watch it. You know when you like have plans but you decide to just order pizza, I'm like, okay, let's watch and see what it's about. And then I'm like, oh, this is such a good movie. There's so many layers to it. There's like a lot of hidden meaning and like I'm obsessed with like when things have multiple meanings and you need to try to catch
Yeah.
up. So and that ended up still till this day being one of my favorite movies. So
It took me forever to find the layers in that movie because the first three times I watched Fight Club, I could only think, hey, how do you get a body like Brad Pitt?
yeah.
That's unbelievable. Like that's the craziest human body I've ever seen in that movie. Or when he's in Snatch. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's Guy Ritchie directed that movie, and he plays this pikey, which is like they travel in caravans. I think they used to be called, and I don't know, they used to be called gypsies, I think, but they're pikeys, right? And he plays this, and he takes his shirt off for a boxing match, and you're like, how in the hell are you doing that, man? It's unbelievable.
No, but it's so fun. It's so funny. You're right, though. Like, it's usually when you don't know the movie, don't know the artist, don't know the comedian that you end up really enjoying them.
Yep, completely agree.
So this has been a fun conversation. I know we're nearing up on the half hour mark, But one thing I did want to ask that has nothing to do with comedy is I know you grew up in rural Minnesota, and even
Mhm.
after touring, you still live there. What keeps you there? Is it like better quality of life? Is it you feel like there's more freedom there? I'm always curious.
Well, for me, two things. I wanted to raise my kids near their family.
Oh yeah, duh.
And so I have, but now they're 25 and 21. So my daughter is a junior in college. My son's out of school. Um, and so I recently moved to Minneapolis, but which is a city, of course, but I don't think I would move outside of Minnesota. I really do love it here. I love the seasons. I know everybody says that. Um, and before, what was great is when I lived in northern Minnesota, uh, I probably paid less in mortgage for a four-bedroom house with three stories than my friends pay for a one-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles or New York for that matter. And so it was really great because I would never have to agree to something in comedy to make ends meet. I mean, it was very inexpensive for me to live. And so I never had to do anything I didn't want to do. And that was awesome because then I could go home and I could fall asleep right when my head hit the pillow instead of worrying about taking this disaster gig or doing something that was kind of against my morals or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I think it was just, yeah, it was cost of living also was part of it because again, then I could do whatever I wanted in my career and it didn't really matter.
Yeah, that's sure. That's so interesting. I've been getting into real estate recently, like research. I'm like reading and all that stuff. So I feel like
Mhm.
quality of life and cost of living is like so important because certain areas in the country, it's like, how the fuck do you like the rent,
Yeah.
like some people's mortgages?
Oh, it's
Or,
unbelievable. And it's
yeah.
like you're going to have three jobs to live in this city, but you're never going to get to see the city because you're working three jobs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at some point, you have to go. I bet there's a town in Oklahoma where they're giving houses away because no one wants to live there. Let's go start a fun city there. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. That's so cool. But I'm very excited for the Wilmot Theater Show in Montclair, New Jersey. And then for all other dates, they could go to your website
Yeah,
and check it out. Check out your special. And I'm looking forward to seeing you that night. I'll probably say hi backstage before or after the show.
I hope so. Please do.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I'll talk to Sabrina.
Okay.
Um,
Yep. Yep. Get all that squared away. She'll set you up with tickets and all that stuff too. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
of course, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tag you when everything comes out.
Okay.
Your social media will be dinging. I'll be inviting you to be a collaborator, all that shit.
Perfect. I love it.
So great having you, and I look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you, Will.
You too. Have a good one. Cheers.